Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of Inspire Career Spotlight on Careers, the video podcast series where I interview experts from all across the career management space to bring you best-in-class career-related information to help keep you up to date and help you advance in your careers. Today, I am really excited. I am happy to welcome Tom Powner. Welcome, Tom.
Hey, Kathy, how you doing? Thanks for having me, and excited to be here and just talk to you.
Yay. Yeah. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Tom, and then we're going to get into our interview. Tom is a multi-time career changer, and he has proved that making a career change can be done. He resigned from his 25-year career in business development, human resources, operations, and sales leadership to create Career Thinker Incorporated. He's motivated by years of viewing thousands of poorly crafted resumes. And if that speaks to you, then you know who we're talking to out there. And he has interviewed over 1,500 applicants and hired over 600 employees. His goal is to make a difference by providing people with career services, coaching, technology, and inspiration and confidence to move them to take action. But beyond Tom's expertise in terms of his business background, he has also built an industry reputation as a leader in educating and mentoring clients and colleagues on best practices, infusing technology and improving processes that boost results. And that's really one of the reasons I really wanted to have Tom on here today to talk about what he is doing to help support career professionals, which trickles down to help everybody that's listening today too. Since 2011, he has presented over 300 career workshops. He's a LinkedIn power user and currently the NCOPE, Nationally Certified Online Professional Expert Instructor, teaching people how to unleash the power of LinkedIn. It's Tom's program. He's created it. He scaled it. You'll see the initials after my name as well. And it's really exciting. A lot of things are happening in technology today. Tom's at the cutting edge of that, and he's going to share some things with us. But Tom, let's get right into it. And let's start out the way we start out all of our interviews. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Share with us your business background. And then I want to talk about your changing, your switching and moving around.
Right. Well, thanks for the introduction. When I hear someone else read it back, I'm like, oh, wow, that's me. And tell me about yourself. You know, we know that's fortunately a common interview questions. So, you know, how you tell your story and depending on the format where you're on, who you're telling it to. But I always like try to pride myself on saying that, you know, I'm proof it can be done. I mean, I was in a really good career, working for a great company, making really good money. I was just very frustrated, you know, and I think when people change their careers and make that big move, you know, your work is one of those big components of your life, you know, your relationships, moving to a new home, apartment, and what job you do. And I think a lot of people sometimes want to make that change, want to make that move. They just don't do it, or they wait longer than they should have. And that was kind of me. I was the last company I was there, I think 12 years. I probably knew 10 years before that. I wasn't happy, even though I liked everything I was doing, I just wasn't happy. And what sparked me to make that change back then, on my birthday of that year when I left corporate America, my mom passed away. And I seen her 2 days, and she passed away on my birthday. I don't know if I mentioned that. And 2 days before that, before she passed away, I went to see her. Took the flight down to Florida, spent a few days with her, and I just felt in my heart this would be the last time I would see her. And it actually was. And before I left, she looked at me. She says, "I know you say you're happy, but I know something's missing." And that stuck with me. And then she had passed away. And those life-changing events, you know, sometimes make you reevaluate your own life. And then several months later, my stepdad, who I considered my dad at that point for many years, he passed away from a broken heart. And like, holy, look what just happened. So I sat down, I thought about what I wanted to do, and I decided to make a change. And Career Thinker was something in my head that I would do when I retire. I just took that plan that I had in my head, put it on paper, and just put it put it out there 10, 15 years earlier than I expected. So that's how Career Thinker was born. And my main passion when I started Career Thinker was to help people connect the next career opportunity. And that's still my main passion, but a lot of recruiting fell in my lap. People reached out to me, asked for help recruiting, and that's where my recruiting arm came. So I got a good perspective of seeing the challenges from the recruiter side and the challenges from the job seeker side, and I try to infuse that in everything I do with my clients.
Your story, which, is heart-wrenching about your mother passing away on your birthday,
Yeah, no.
and then your
What
dad with his broken heart.
excuse me, but she did that on purpose. Because I had trouble remembering days, so I know she did that on purpose because I can never ever forget the day she passed away. So I joke about it, but it's actually probably true in some way, shape, or form.
Right, right. Well, what I find interesting about that is, talking to job seekers all day long, it's such a common thing when people make career moves, it comes from the heart. And
Right.
oftentimes it's other people looking in on us to be able to say, like your mom did, to say something's missing,
Yeah.
and then maybe that's sometimes what it takes, that impetus for us to make those moves. So let's talk a little bit about how you made that move. I mean, you were making a lot of money. You said that, right? You had a
Yeah.
big job. And so you had this idea that you were tossing around. So, what was the first thing that you did? Like, how did that start?
Well, the first thing I did was to acknowledge that I was under a lot of stress. And another private story, but I'm getting older, so I share more. I was suffering from kidney stones for like 6 years. They couldn't figure out why. 72 stones, 4 operations. My doctor said it's stress, it's stress, it's stress. I never believed them. Since I left corporate America, I have not had one stone, and that's 13 years ago, 12 years ago. That was part of my decision making. So first, it's acknowledging that you're not happy, and there's something else out there that could be a better fit for you, and then also getting support of others. I spoke to my husband. He was very supportive of me making this shift in my career because we're a dual income household. We could live with one income because we live very frugally, but getting his support. Permission is not the right word, but getting his support and him backing me up when I started from career thinking, because I went from making X amount of money to making nothing, especially the first few months. So I think the first thing is to acknowledge that you have to make a change, and a lot of us do that. But acting on that acknowledgement, and it's just getting the guts up to write that letter of resignation and give it to the company. They tried everything to keep me. They were surprised. I was surprised, but I think that was the first step. Just thinking about it, making a plan. I did make a plan. I stuck to everything in that plan, and then just taking that first step. And I felt free, not the right word, but I felt invigorated that okay, now I'm going to start the next chapter in my career. Because I was there I'm looking at my LinkedIn profile because I forgot how long I was there. I was there for 12 years, 5 months. I thought it was 11 years, 12 years, 5 months. Associated Materials, great company, but a lot of stress. So that was the first thing, is just getting the courage up and just making that initial move first.
A lot of people don't have that appetite for going from a six-figure salary down to nothing.
Yeah.
It's
You know,
scary.
it is. And I have to say, my retirement plan, my savings account, everything kind of sort of, going the opposite way a little bit during the first couple of years. But, we have to think about our health, our mental health, our happiness. We want to see ourselves in 5, 10, 15 years. Just like a company want to know where you want to be, you should want to know where you want to be also. So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I know as a business owner too, you take the risk, you step out, you have support, which is all wonderful, and you had a big dream, and you, unlike a lot of people, had a great plan. I mean, a lot of people don't even have the plan, they kind of figure it out. But let's talk a little bit. I mean, fast forward to now, you're running a thriving business, you've got people working for you, you deal with international clients, and I want to talk about Enco because it's a huge reason I wanted to speak with you today.
yeah.
But Tom, I know everything hasn't been perfect along the way. And as people make shifts, mistakes happen. Are you able to share any of those with us? Any tips about, maybe things you might have done differently if you had to do it again? Things that, could have prepared better for?
Yeah, there's a handful of mistakes. The first mistake was thinking I could do everything on my own. Now, when you first start out, I was a solopreneur. I wrote all the resumes. What I learned is I was charging way too little. I didn't actually time myself to see how long it took me to handle a client, and it takes a lot longer, especially if you want to do a great job for your clients.
Yeah.
And then I kind of muddled in that for about 8 to 14 months, and I realized, I love the business operations. I love building the business. I love speaking to the clients. I like the coaching aspect. The writing aspect I could do really well, but it just takes me way too long. So I decided to actually start hiring or getting certified professional resume writers on my team. And I have 5 to 6 writers on my team. 4 of them have been with me over 8, 9 years, and the rest of them kind of rotate in and out. So that was the first thing, was probably do that, had that business model sooner. And as a business person, I probably knew that. I just didn't think deep enough. That was the first first challenge I came over. And then yeah, there's a lot of things I learned along the way. The power of marketing, the power of networking and branding out there in LinkedIn, all that I could have did a lot sooner, give a lot more energy. But again, when you run your own business, as the hours aren't 9 to 5. They're not Monday to Friday sometimes. Sometimes, I tell people,
The big
I
joke
tell,
is that you get to work whenever you want, right, Tom? You get to
yeah,
work
sure, yeah,
all
yeah.
day long.
You have some flexibility that you want to do, and you can mold things, but if you stay in that rigid box, sometimes
Yeah.
the business doesn't grow quick enough. Sometimes I'll have to work a Sunday, sometimes I'll work late, sometimes. So it's being flexible to adjust your hours. But I gave up working 60, 70 hours for a company to working 60 hours for myself, but it still feels very different. Everything I do, it's for me, it's for my clients, it's for my employees. So just a different feeling. But I wouldn't really change anything, but I'd probably do some things a little differently.
Mm-hmm. For when you first started, how prevalent was resume writing? I mean, now today, you can walk out the front door and see 10 resume writers, or you just, bring up your screen. How many other resume writers were kind of in the business that, that you were networking with, and that you knew about reputable people? And I'm really interested to know what the status of LinkedIn was when you first started your business, because that has been incredible evolution.
Well, as far as resume writers, I've seen a big shift and a lot more writers being out there. I haven't seen a big shift in a lot of great resume writers being out there. A lot of them just the HR managers or the recruiters that say, "Oh, I'm a recruiter, I can write resumes." So there's a lot of people that went into resume writing business during the last recession and during COVID. A lot of people just decided, "I'm going to work from home, I'm going to write resumes, make $1 million." Well, a lot of those are finding out that's very
Let
hard
me
to
know.
do, and they're going back into corporate America.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot more resume writers out there, and the gig economy, when people want to turn on their job or what they do and turn it off, that's very attractive, and you can do that as long as you have a client base that's going to wait for you. LinkedIn has really changed the fabric of how we find talent. I do recruiting. I had 3 recruiters on my team. We recruit for a niche industry, altogether about 140 to 160 positions a year. 2 of the companies we recruit for don't even post jobs anymore. I haven't posted a job in 5, 6 years. We do 100% of recruiting through LinkedIn recruiting.
Can we take a break here? I want you to say that again, Tom. When I talk to clients and when there's conversations online, we talk about that term, the hidden job market. And sometimes, people get all inflamed about that. It's not about keeping secrets. It's not about being difficult, but a lot of companies do not post jobs publicly. Say that again, please.
Yeah, 2 companies we recruit for haven't posted a job in about 5, 6 years. We do all the recruiting through social recruiting. That's the term we use. And LinkedIn is a social recruiting platform we use 98% of the time. That's part of the hidden job market. Internal promotions, internal referrals, internal networking, and social recruiting. Companies, in reality, companies today probably don't need to post jobs. If they're hiring 50 people for a factory, something that may be a little different. But typically, you could do all those things through your own network. If I work for a company, I would source my employees to find the next talent, and do the social recruiting through LinkedIn. There's no reason to post jobs anymore, because actually one company we're recruiting for, I use this term a lot because we have a lot of salespeople. We're hiring a salesperson in Boston, and we have, I think, 269 resumes after the job being posted for only 5 days. This
Wow.
company's posted a job. They use an ATS system. They use applicant tracking software system, and we have to go in and determine which resumes to read. So we're going to probably read maybe 15% of the resumes, and the rest of them, unfortunately, would never get looked at. Sadly, but that's what happens.
Yeah, it's complicated. And, there's no barrier to entry to be a resume writer.
No.
There's no barrier to entry to be a career coach. You and I both have certifications. And, anybody listening out there, big recommendation to find a certified writer. People that are certified, and I know, Tom, you have numerous certifications in the career management industry, but these are the kind of things that we're talking about, that it's important for people to understand and to help our clients be able to navigate this stuff that, you only hear about spatterings when you're online. You don't really know the truth. A lot of people inflame it, tell you other spin stories here,
Yeah.
but it's just really about just learning how to navigate these things.
I speak to probably 5 to 6 potential clients. I'm sorry, I should shut that off. I speak to 5 to 7 potential clients daily, Monday to Thursday, and a lot of them come to me with this pre-notion: "Oh, your resume needs to be this, it needs to be that." When I ask them why, "Oh, I heard it someplace, I read
Yeah.
it someplace." It's not backed up by real, true data and science and experience. So, but
Yeah. And
unfortunately, people follow a lot of bad advice.
what I like about your perspective, Tom, is you do both sides of it. You do the career coaching, the resume writing. You are a recruiter as well. So everyone
Right.
listening here, I mean, Tom has both ends of it, and all of us have talked to recruiters that are not recruiters. And certainly, I worked in HR a long time, and I understand all that. But Tom is actually doing both ends of that, so really makes him a valuable partner for that. Talk a little bit more about LinkedIn. When you first started your job, what the status of LinkedIn was, how it was really being used, and the changes that you've seen. I want to come back to talk about NCOPE, and I suspect that the evolution of LinkedIn is why you started that. But how did you first get involved with LinkedIn? What was it like when you
Well,
first started? It's been a while.
when I was a LinkedIn member, a user, not really a user, I was a member, I'll say that, back in 2005 or 7. I think LinkedIn hit 20 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
I
So it's
think
been
so.
around for 20 years. When I started my business and during the last recession, LinkedIn it was important. But it is really, from the past decade or so, has really transformed in a tool that we all should use in our marketing campaign. It's a career marketing campaign. It's not a job search anymore. A lot has changed. So back when I started my business, I was doing on LinkedIn profiles right from the get-go. I knew how important it was, but that importance has just grown to a level now. If you're not on LinkedIn, that does not mean you won't find a job. There'll just be a lot of jobs that won't find you, which is a huge impact today. So LinkedIn has really evolved to the point where, and again, 2005, 7, 8, 9, if you're on LinkedIn and someone's seen you on LinkedIn, that means you were looking for a job. LinkedIn has really changed. It's a platform where people go to connect. Job seekers, companies build their social brand on there. Posting jobs. LinkedIn has 6 million jobs posted in the US right now. So it's a place to actually manage and build your professional network and your career. So it's a lot more than a job board. Um, and I think the role of LinkedIn has really changed. And I see LinkedIn, just the amount of tools in LinkedIn is unbelievable, from the job seeker's perspective, from the recruiter's perspective, and the sales navigator helping the sales teams of America be more successful. It really has changed a lot. And today, like I said, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, that does not mean you won't find a job. There's just be a lot of jobs that won't find you, because that's where they're finding people.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us how NCOPE came to be. So tell us about the acronym of NCOPE,
Mhm.
because it's not LinkedIn certification per se, but
Right.
but that's exactly what it is. So I want people to understand what the description of it is. Talk to us about how you came to the idea of it, and tell us about where it is today and the impact that has just spread all across the career
Yeah,
industry.
it's I love LinkedIn. Today, right now, it's the best tool. So I belong to National Resume Writing Association, and every year they have a yearly conference. And back in, how many years ago? It was 2018. They asked me to do a pre-conference workshop. So since I knew a lot about LinkedIn, I decided to do a LinkedIn workshop. They asked me to. They accepted my proposal, and I did a 3-hour workshop at LinkedIn. And again, it was called taking a deeper dive into LinkedIn.
And that
And
time is where I met you. That was the first conference I went to, and that was the
right,
first time I saw you present, and that was my first real introduction into getting to the bowels of LinkedIn.
right. And again, the presentation, I really did a deep dive into LinkedIn and showed people things they didn't know. After the conference, the board of directors approached me, and I am now on the board of directors, approached me to ask me to do a certification course on LinkedIn. And because they understand it's not just a resume anymore, it's the LinkedIn and resume work hand in hand. There's just two ways about it. Sure, there are some industries that might not be relevant, but in general, with corporate America, they work hand in hand. So they asked me to create a certification course on LinkedIn. Now, NCOPE, Nationally Certified Online Profile Expert. I am not crazy about the name, but it works. And we wanted to be in line to LinkedIn's policy that you can't use their name in the name of a course or a business. Even though I see a lot of people doing it, we want to be respectful of the bylaws on LinkedIn. So that's the name of the course. But basically, it's teaching people how to unleash the power of LinkedIn. Whether you're in career services, career coaching, resume writing, LinkedIn profile writers, whether you're in HR. And I also have a handful of people that join the NCOPE because they really want to understand how to use LinkedIn in their own career management. So we get a lot of people on board with the NCOPE program.
Yeah, that's really interesting because as a career coach, I mean, I know I've gone through the program and I get recertified every year. So that's really important because you keep us up to date on what's happening and share stuff. And I'll tell you, every day that I hop on to do something, there's something new on there, right?
I
I mean,
know,
every
especially
time.
lately.
Crazy,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know how job seekers can keep up unless they have somebody guiding them for that. But keeping up on it annually and having to get recertified is really important. Tom, what is the greatest challenge that you see with LinkedIn today for job seekers? Is it all the new functionality, the constant evolution, or is it just recognizing that it's bigger than applying for a job? Where do you think that real struggle for job seekers comes in? Because not everybody's leaning into it.
I think fear.
Mhm.
So what I mean by that is I speak to so many people. Oh no, I don't want my boss to see that. They're gonna know I'm looking for a job.
Ah,
Oh no, I would not connect to that person. I wouldn't do this. They're so fearful about doing anything on LinkedIn. Number one, if your boss or your HR department has time to look at everyone's profile every day and watch everyone's activity and what they're doing, how the LinkedIn profile changes, it's probably not the right company to work for. And the flip side, I've had people that actually got raises because we updated LinkedIn profile, and then 4 or 5 months later, the boss looked at the profile during the review period, never realized how long we were with the company, never realized all the successes they brought the company. The LinkedIn profile brought that to life during the review process, and they got bigger raises. So it's endless. Again, there's always a small risk. Someone might say something about something. And again, you have to weigh out the return on investment. I think fear is the biggest thing.
yeah, I would agree with that. But I have yet, and you tell me if you disagree, but I have yet had anybody come back to me to say, I got found on like I've got my boss came to me and dressed me down, or I had to answer for it. It just never happens. It doesn't. And to your point,
It's actually quite the opposite.
yes.
I have a lot of clients that their boss or the boss's boss left the company, went someplace else, and then a couple months later, the bosses took their LinkedIn profile and shared it with their internal team. Says, these are people I worked with in the past. Look at their LinkedIn profile. Let's bring them in. Let's start interviewing them. So it's just so many ways. It's quite the opposite. And again, if you're that fearful of, even if your boss thinks you're looking for a job, that means your boss should say, well, what's wrong with our company? So we had this set of fear in us for the wrong reasons. And that's the biggest obstacle a lot of people have. And then beyond that, even some clients, once we get a great LinkedIn and a great resume, and they're ready to go out there and start networking and just build a network, whether they're looking for a job or not, they just again fearful of networking. I was doing coaching with a client the other day, and we're trying to connect to, I told him to make a company target list of 20 companies you want to work for because we want to teach LinkedIn to what's important to you. And, he had 5 companies that he really, really wants to work for, more about the mission and vision, what they do. And we're so fearful. Oh, no, I would never reach out to anyone at the company. I would never ask a recruiter to connect with me. They were so fearful even speaking to the people on LinkedIn. and which is like you could do it in your pajamas at midnight if you want. And they were so fearful of doing it that just held them back. And people that know how to network, people more comfortable with it, people have a great LinkedIn profile, just bounce back more and more opportunities come their way.
Yeah. It's such a whole other level of professional development that did not exist when I was working in the corporate world. And to your point, you can't get found if you're not on there for the jobs that are being posted, but even just the opportunities, because so many people are on there. And I know you've shared the statistics with us in the NCOPE course about how many of the executives are on there and how many of the Fortune 500 companies are sourcing from there just to make contact with people for career advancement, business opportunities, right?
Right.
Even if you're not looking for another job, just to be able to meet other professionals in the industry, critically important. But
Oh,
you talk about fear, Tom. I want to talk about the newest topic of fear. The newest thing happening today is AI.
yeah, well, AI, artificial intelligence, has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Whether you use autocorrect in Microsoft Word or you use Grammarly, LinkedIn has AI for 10 years. The machine learning AI in LinkedIn is pretty powerful, but we're just on a new frontier of AI. And, LinkedIn's owned by Microsoft. Microsoft has a big stake, I think 49% stake in ChatGPT, which is the hot new word that's in the news and everything. The AI is pretty impressive. It's a whole different level, going deeper into getting great information back. So, and LinkedIn is announcing a lot of things they're going to do with AI within LinkedIn. So I'm really excited to see what the next 2 years is going to bring. Personally, I predict, this is my prediction, it's kind of happening already in one way, shape, or form. I was saying about 3 to 5 years, the whole ATS system, the whole application process, I think that's going to be shifted to the side. And when a company needs to find someone, they can be able to go to a portal, which might be many different sites like LinkedIn, but right now LinkedIn is the main place where they could just click on, we're looking for this type of person with this type of skill set and so on, basically what LinkedIn Recruiter is now, and just get top 10 people. And it's going to take a lot of things into consideration. I do believe that technology will be out there in 3 to 5 years. So you won't have to apply for a job, but every job will find somebody.
So if you have just a skeleton profile and kind of thinking about how this is going to unfold, what would be maybe the main recommendation you would give to somebody that is either fearful of getting on there or just doesn't think that they have the technology skills to get on, but they might want to dabble a little? What might be the one or two recommendations you give people to kind of start getting a little bit more involved to prepare for this future that I would agree is coming upon us quickly?
Yeah, very quickly. Um, well, from a recruiter's perspective, when I do a talent search on LinkedIn, initially LinkedIn right now is a huge database with enough data points, and data points are basically keywords. So when I find somebody, my initial search is a data search based on hard skills, soft skills, and technical skills. And then I could turn a lot of different filters on in my search and narrow down to people that matter. So when I start looking at a list of possible candidates on LinkedIn Recruiter and open up someone's LinkedIn profile, kind of everything matters. The headline matters a lot because that initially tells me in a 2-second glance of who you are. A headshot has to be there, but it has to be a happy one. I'm not like you're dressed like a clown, but something that shows you naturally happy with who you are and what you're doing. We want to hire happy people. And then a band image that kind of just associates with your career. And I value the about page. Obviously, I write about pages, but as a recruiter, I can see you have the skill set, you have the experience, but who are you? And I think the about page is a great place to really speak about who you are. Why you choose a career in human resources? How do you help find and retain the top talent? I want to know those quick stories of how you do what you do. And then the career experience. You're not a job title. You could be CEO of a company. It's what you do with that job title and what successes, what improvements, what contributions, what quantitative achievements you could point to. Those matter to me as a recruiter and any recruiter. And then, so it's not just one little thing. It's you kind of have to embrace what LinkedIn is. The more you embrace it, I think the further you're going to go in being discovered for opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. And it also, I love what you were talking about, that about section. It's less about, what you did at that point, but how you did it. really being in that engaging first person voice to help
Yes.
recruiters learn more about you. And folks, if you're out there copying and pasting your resume into that about section, you're missing an opportunity to really connect with your audience. And
Yeah.
Tom, you've really been a pioneer in that whole first person engagement voice, and you've shared that with all of us,
Yes.
into your network. And I know that we teach our clients that because it's so powerful.
Yeah, and you said something first person. I was just speaking to a potential client the other day, and it's written in third person. I said, "Who hacked your account and wrote your about page?" And he laughed. He said, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't sound. You didn't write it because it's not in your voice. So it's a social media platform. The about section should be a conversation you're having with people that visit and want to learn about you. You could take a lot of. It could be assumed first person. You could take a lot of the pronouns out, but it could still be written in first person.
One of my favorite things, and I know it's maybe for more, if you would say, advanced users to it, but I'll tell you, one of my favorite things on there is that featured section where you can put the pictures, you can put video, you can put posts. Like, it is such a great way to show a multi-dimensional, or the multi-dimensions of yourself, right?
Yeah.
And people can hear your voice on a video. If you've been on podcasts, if you've been interviewed, if you're publishing a book, whatever it is, great posts that you've had that you want to share. I tell you, you know what I tell my clients? LinkedIn in general should be considered an informal job interview. Because every time
Oh,
somebody
definitely.
comes to it, right,
Yep.
it's essentially taking a look at it, and saying, is this somebody that I want to speak to and learn more about? And if you don't give them enough to excite them at all, then they may
Yeah.
go to the next person.
And one thing I've learned, I love the feature section, but sometimes people aren't in that position where they would even do anything like that. But that doesn't mean you can't start edging into that. But one thing I get almost 99% of the time predict, if I see a crappy LinkedIn, I'm gonna probably see a crappy resume, and vice versa. And again, they are career marketing tools. They need and any marketing campaign is selling the value of a product or service. So your resume LinkedIn needs to pump value over function, and that's where another thing people just with resumes on LinkedIn, it starts sounding like a long job description. My husband's in HR, and sometimes I look at it, look at this resume, look at this resume, look at the job they just applied for, 12 pages, and just rambling, rambling, rambling.
Oh,
And I said, well, why did they pick that person to be interviewed? Because that was the best of the worst. So when you have a great LinkedIn and great resume, boy, do you pop. It's just you pop. A 2 to 3 page resume, depending on position level, that really showcases your value will outrule any other resume that's just a list of job functions. It's just common sense almost.
yeah. And because you mentioned the resume piece, I just want to make this statement that I tell my clients. I feel very, very strongly with this, and I'm interested in your opinion on this. Please, people, do not post your resume onto your LinkedIn profile. I mean, first of all, you don't need to. If you fully optimize your profile, you complete your sections, there's no need to.
Mhm.
But it's just not a good practice because it's static. When you put your resume up there, you don't have an opportunity to tweak it at all so that someone looking for a very specific position can see you in that role. You miss that opportunity. If they look at it and see that it's not what they're looking for, they move on. You don't have any opportunity to engage them. And certainly, folks, it's downloadable. People can take it and
Right.
take a walk with it. So there's a security issue too. Do you agree with that, Tom?
Yeah, well, your LinkedIn, see, I always use the philosophy, your LinkedIn should be your resume on steroids.
Yeah.
So the LinkedIn gets the conversation started in the um, social media platform. That gets the conversation started. So your LinkedIn should do that automatically. Now, when you post your resume, number one, they can download it. You don't get the chance to tweak it, once you learn about a company or job, and it doesn't get searched. Now, LinkedIn had a new upgrade that came out about 6 weeks ago. When you store resumes in the back end underneath your job search settings, you upload 4 resumes, and you turn on that rocket switch that says use my resume data. Those are the resumes where in LinkedIn Recruiter, all the content, the keywords, the job title, the education, and so on, and the bullet points will be used in the LinkedIn Recruiter search aspect and help you get found for more keywords or get you found for different reasons, that, especially if your LinkedIn resume are very different. That's the only place where I would upload a resume and be strategic about that. When you upload your resume as a PDF, as an image or PDF in your feature section, that has just no value in any way, shape, or form.
Yay. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. So, Tom, tell us about what the future of the NCOPE program looks like for you as a career professional and for people that are out there trying to just to do it on their own. Where are we going with the program? What else can we expect to see over this next year?
Well, at NCOPE, I just finished the last class. We had 21 students. So we do 3 to 4 classes a year. When I look at the NCOPE from the first time we did it to now, I can't believe how different LinkedIn is. So we're always keeping up with LinkedIn. And during the course, it's a 5-week course, 2 hours each week. We do a deep dive into what's important to the job seeker because it's for the career professionals. There's some things we don't cover because it's not as relevant. So we really do a deep dive, and LinkedIn's constantly changing. So I'm always upgrading the program. And one thing we didn't mention, when you become certified, you become part of the open office hours we have once a month,
Yeah.
a second Tuesday, where we discuss anything new, because LinkedIn's made a commitment to make 10 improvements or changes to LinkedIn per month. And it kind of been doing that. Some of the changes are kind of wonky, but a lot of them have some positive impact in how we use LinkedIn. So that seems to be continuing since the past year. So we always go over that, and LinkedIn's always updated. The core of your LinkedIn profile is your identity. Your identity on LinkedIn is what's in your profile. So the content, the story, the way you've been, what you're in charge of, the keywords, and then talking about yourself. That's your identity in LinkedIn. So that would always be the core of LinkedIn. So your right identity that matches who you are and where you want to go next. The more it does that, the better chance of getting found. So that's always going to be the core, week and a half of NCOPE. And then everything else is about all the tools, the bells and whistles, how the artificial intelligence works, how LinkedIn Recruiter works, really honing in on keywords, because that's become a very identifiable way to get found. So we're just going to keep growing. I think we're going through recertification right now. I think we have 265 certified NCOPE professionals out there. Hopefully everyone get recertified. We're in that process right now. But
You'll see mine come through. Don't
yes,
worry.
okay.
I'm on the calendar. Don't you worry about that.
Okay.
Well, Tom, thank you. Congratulations on the success of the NCOPE program. I mean, it's one of these things with tentacles. You help me, right? I get certified, then it's all the clients I touch. And the same thing with everybody. It just keeps magnifying, right? For that, which
Yeah.
is spectacular. Congratulations on
Thanks.
the great career move you decided to make all those years ago and career thinker.
And one thing with NCOPE, and something I had to learn as I started teaching and doing the course, I'll see a lot of things I taught people. And the biggest flattering is the way they can't go around and teach other people. So see all these things, these techniques and stuff that I feel I first introduced, 6+ years ago, and people using it and just building on it. That's just very it's invigorating, but sometimes oh my God, that's my idea. But that's the whole purpose of it, to have people share and learn and teach everybody else. And that's what the NCOPE has really done for me, getting the best of LinkedIn out there.
Thank you. Thank you for everything. And thank you for your impact to the career management space, Tom. It's just absolutely been incredible. And I've really enjoyed our conversation
Same
today.
here.
As we're tying this up, any last words that you want to talk about to job seekers? Any last piece of advice you want to share about your own career transition or for someone else's?
Sometimes we're forced to make a change because even my first job, I worked during junior high, high school, and a few years of college. The company sold, and I got kind of kicked to the curb. So that made me make my first move. Sometimes we're forced to make a move because we're let go. But whether you let go or you really want to make a change, it's not the end of the world if you make the wrong decision. I remember once in my career, I worked for 3 different companies in about 4 months because I kept getting the offer I wanted. Companies just took forever to get back to me. So I left companies. So if you make the wrong decision, then you just correct it by making the next one. It's not the end of the world. You're still gonna be breathing. You just embrace what you want to do and try to find the best place to do it.
Perfect. Great. And we'll just leave that today because that's great
Okay.
advice for everybody out there thinking about making that next career move. Listen, you don't know until you try. And then, you got to have
Yeah.
a place to start. So thank you for
Yeah.
everything, Tom. Thank you for your
Okay.
candor today. I appreciate it. This is
Oh,
Kathy Lanzalaco saying thank you again to Tom Powner of Career Thinker and founder of NCOPE. If you want to learn more about the program, please reach out to Tom. We're going to drop the information in the comment section. I highly recommend following Tom on LinkedIn at the very least. Follow him on his profile. He posts constantly about information about careers in LinkedIn. So even if you're not ready to take a step into the NCO program just yet, follow him. Great resource. So thank you so very much, Tom.
okay. Thank you.
All right. And this is Kathy Lanzalaco signing off today. And until we meet again, live inspired.